What's up guys, and welcome back to Wall Street Millennial. On this channel, we cover everything related to stocks and investing. It is sometimes said that the truth is stranger than fiction, and this is especially true in the world of cryptocurrencies. Recently, a New York-based married couple by the names of Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan were charged with attempting to launder $4.5 billion worth of stolen Bitcoin. While such a large crypto-related crime would drive headlines on its own, what really made this story interesting was the eccentric nature of one of the perpetrators, Heather Morgan. When she wasn't laundering bitcoins, she pursued a career as a rapper under the stage name Razzle Khan and calls herself the Crocodile of Wall Street. In 2019, she released a hilariously bad music video called Versace Bedouin, which showed her stomping around in front of the New York Stock Exchange. But how could someone who appears so comically unsophisticated mastermind the largest Bitcoin-related crime in US history? In this video, we'll look at how Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan were able to illegally obtain $4.5 billion worth of Bitcoin and how they were finally caught. Quick pause from our sponsors over at Kamikoto Knives, a leading producer of Japanese steel knives. They sent me their premium Kanpeke series knife set to try out. The first thing to notice is their heavy-duty ash wood box that it comes in. Every one of them goes through a rigorous 19-step process that takes several years from start to finish. Each knife is inspected multiple times, and they are so confident that every knife they sell comes with a lifetime guarantee. In practical terms, that means Kamikoto knives are way sharper than you would get with a regular knife. For example, it can cut through a thick piece of meat as if it were butter. It's also weighted carefully, so it's very easy to hold. In fact, Kamikoto knives are used by Michelin star chefs around the world. Kamikoto builds on the legacy of over 800 years of Japanese technology and expertise in creating the steel to make knives that have been meticulously handcrafted from using traditional techniques that date back to the Edo period of Japan. All of their knives are made from high-quality steel sourced from Japan, and each blade is crafted using techniques that have been honed and perfected by generations of knifesmiths. Importantly, Kamikoto cuts out the middleman of importers and retailers and mails the knives directly to you. This allows them to offer far better prices than you would get at a brick-and-mortar store for a knife of equivalent quality. Kamikoto is offering viewers of this channel an extra $50 off any purchase they make with discount code WSM, on top of their special offers. Make sure to check out kamikoto.com/WSM, link in the description below. And now back to the video. The case started all the way back in 2016 when a Hong Kong-based cryptocurrency exchange called Bitfinex was hacked. The anonymous hackers gained access to 2,000 accounts and transferred 120,000 bitcoins into a single account which they controlled. At the time, it was worth about $70 million and 36% of the total value of cryptocurrencies held by Bitfinex customers. Most people thought Bitfinex was doomed as there is no way they can make back this $70 million loss. But surprisingly, they found a way to make their customers whole and are still operating today. After the hack occurred, they issued new BFX tokens for every dollar each customer lost. These tokens could be redeemable for either $1 or an equivalent amount of Bitfinex equity at a future date. Within 8 months, they were able to generate $70 million worth of revenue from crypto transactions on their platform and redeem all of the BFX tokens, effectively making their customers whole for their losses. Not all customers were happy though. In the beginning, most traders were skeptical that Bitfinex could ever make back these losses, so the BFX coins traded as low as 15 cents on the dollar. Victims who sold at the lows lost 80% of their value, while those who bought the coins made a windfall when the company were able to make good on their commitment against all odds. But regardless, it's impressive that the exchange was somehow able to come back from such a catastrophic loss. The $120,000 of stolen bitcoins stayed within a wallet. The transactions were recorded on the public blockchain, so everyone could see where they were, and they could see if they were ever transferred away to different wallets. One of the main allures of Bitcoin is that transactions are anonymous. Everyone can see the stolen coins in this wallet, but there is no way of telling who controls the wallet and thus no way to recover them. On the surface, this looks like the perfect crime. But there's a problem. If the hackers wanted to spend their newly acquired wealth, they needed a way to convert the Bitcoin to cash. To do this, they would have to transfer the coins to a regulated exchange, which is connected to the highly regulated US banking system. These regulated exchanges all have to follow strict Know Your Customer or KYC regulations. That means that you have to verify your identity, which would make it extremely easy for law enforcement to trace the stolen bitcoins to your real name and address. The hackers now had a stash of 120,000 bitcoins, but the second they tried to spend any of it, they would be immediately exposed. To add insult to injury, the price of Bitcoin started skyrocketing over the next few years. By 2021, their $70 million stolen fortune grew to more than $4 billion. You can imagine how frustrating it would be to technically be a billionaire, but not be able to spend a penny of your fortune. The 120,000 bitcoins eventually ended up in the hands of the New York-based couple Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan. While we don't know for sure if they were behind the 2016 hack, it's very likely that they were involved, otherwise how would they have gained control of the coins? Lichtenstein has a long and accomplished career as a tech investor and entrepreneur, having co-founded a successful marketing software company. His wife, Heather Morgan, has a perhaps even more impressive resume. Not only is she a software entrepreneur, she is also a surrealist artist and rapper. She is CEO of a company called SalesFolk, which helps businesses cold email prospective customers. In addition to all of that, she was a prolific Forbes contributor, having written dozens of articles for them between 2016 and 2021. Despite what Morgan's music video might lead you to believe, it appears that this couple are highly sophisticated technologists and were possibly capable of pulling off the 2016 Bitfinex hack. In fact, in one of her songs, Cutthroat Country, she has the following lyrics: "Spearfish your password, all your funds transferred." This is possibly a reference to the 2016 Bitfinex hack. But anyway, they had $4.5 billion in a crypto wallet. They needed a way to launder these funds into cash without drawing attention from the authorities. Instead of transferring all the funds at once, they initiated thousands of small transactions in numerous fake accounts at various exchanges, which they opened with fabricated identities. They also converted the Bitcoin to other cryptos, which are harder to trace. Specifically, they used the Monero coin, which has become popular among cybercriminals as it is almost impossible for the public to view transaction histories. After a convoluted web of thousands of transactions, the funds were ultimately deposited to and withdrawn from accounts owned by Morgan and Lichtenstein. In the past, they also ran the Bitcoin through various services on the now defunct Alphabet dark web platform, which allowed them to further obfuscate the trail of transactions. The coins were then deposited at multiple regulated crypto exchanges under accounts with fake names and email addresses. Much of these funds were frozen after the owners failed to prove their identities. But regardless of how complicated the web of transactions were, they needed to eventually end up in verified accounts owned by the perpetrators if they were ever to withdraw the funds as cash. The coins ended up in accounts on regulated exchanges owned by Lichtenstein and Morgan. They withdrew cash and used it to buy things like Walmart gift cards, other cryptos, and NFTs. After months of painstaking work, the FBI was able to eventually trace all their transactions and figure out the identities of this crypto Bonnie and Clyde. They were both arrested in February 2022, and each face up to 25 years in federal prison. The government raided the couple's New York home and seized control of 94,000 bitcoins worth $3.6 billion. So what will happen to this giant cash pile? The money was originally stolen from Bitfinex users, so you might think that they should be returned to their original owners. However, Bitfinex already reimbursed all of their customers for the $70 million that the coins were worth at the time. Since Bitfinex already made good on this debt, the 94,000 recovered bitcoins will probably be given to the Bitfinex company. They spent $70 million to reimburse their customers back in 2016, and they'll probably be getting $3.6 billion worth of bitcoins returned to them. That's a 51 times return on investment. The case of Lichtenstein and Morgan sheds a light on how cryptocurrencies will be used in the financial system going forward. One of the main criticisms of crypto is that it is only useful for dark web transactions and various cyber crimes. Many Bitcoin bulls have pointed out that law enforcement would actually love it if criminals started using Bitcoin, which is far easier to track than paper currencies. And these most recent arrests seem to prove this point. But it begs the question, if Bitcoin is not used by criminals, what is its use? Despite some early adopters, very few people use Bitcoin to pay for day-to-day transactions because of its volatility and high transaction fees. One potential use case for Bitcoin is legal but controversial activities. Many porn stars have trouble using the traditional banking system, as banks often freeze their accounts because their transactions look suspicious. This often happens even if they're not doing anything illegal. Bitcoin has come to dominate transactions in the legal sex industry, as it allows them to transact and they have no need to hide their identities. With that being said, it's unclear if these types of transactions will be enough to support Bitcoin's current $800 billion market cap. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. What do you think about Razzle Khan and her $4.5 billion crypto heist? Is this development good or bad for the future of Bitcoin? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next one. Wall Street Millennial, signing out.